Right, hello everyone. Thanks very much for attending this. So we're going to talk about hyper-casual and messaging apps. Two of my favourite topics, I think, in the industry at the moment, particularly chat app gaming, which I think could be pretty big. But that's really a question for all of you lot. So first things first, could you all please introduce yourselves and the companies you represent? So.
Yeah, sure. Hey, I'm Alexander Krug. I'm CEO and founder of Softgames. We're one of the top 5 developers on Messenger. We have I think like 75, 80 games live there. A lot of hyper-casual games, but also more, let's say, like deeper social games like Cookie Crush or Solitaire Story, for example. We're into HTML5 since also 2012, so a long time. We share the same history with Lawrence as well. We have developed over 500 games so far, and a lot of history in HTML5.
Hi everyone, my name is Bojana Rezap. I'm CEO and co-founder of Gamee. Gamee is a battle gaming network. We connect friends across series of gaming challenges, battle challenges, as an independent gaming platform, and we also connect our games across chat apps to make it playable and shareable with friends there. We have about 70 games live, and we are more in data business than we ever thought, as we watch the billions of gameplays across platforms, across the games, and we're trying to see what the patterns actually are.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Elina Arponen. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Quicksave. We are a local company here in Helsinki, only 1.5 years old, but the company was founded to work on the chat messaging gaming. Our team has experience already from before this company. Our previous studio was acquired by a chat app called Palringo, and we worked there for 2 years to build games for them. Then last year we founded Quicksave. We saw the market is kind of appearing to be big, and it's very interesting to see how the market is now kind of finally growing to be what we've envisioned it to be for like 4 years already, or not 3 years something. So it's quite exciting times, and even though the track is called hyper-casual, we're actually now going towards and making some mid-core games. So there's going to be some challenge on the topic here.
Hello everybody, my name is Filip Kamranov. I'm CEO and founder of Black Snowflake Games. We're an HTML5 focused game dev studio which we already work with HTML5 for around 5 years. So at the moment we are the exclusive partner of top social app in the US, iFunny, and we were one of the first developers who launched on also Russia's biggest social network, Contact, on the new platform for Contact Dark Games. Right now we're searching a new ways to enter the new markets, preferably Asian ones.
Hi, my name is Valentin. I'm running small video game consultancy called Game Wizards. I have a history in Russian game dev industry, mostly on the publishing side of the business, but I also run an indie development studio. I just opened a new slot in Riga just to do hyper-casual games, and I have a company in Minsk that doing casual games for the last 7 years. That's it.
Okay, great, thanks. So I guess the first just obvious question is just how big right now, and can it be, chat app gaming? So we've got obviously we've got Facebook Instant Games, we've got WeChat doing something, Kakao doing something, and then Snapchat is allegedly working on their own platform. So right now, is it a profitable business, and what's it going to be like compared to mobile in a few years?
Okay, I can go. So as we just heard from Lawrence as well, there are games, individual games that are profitable now, but definitely, probably the people here agree with me that the aim is now not just to make top games in the market, but also to grow the market, and there's potential for the market to seriously grow from where it is now, like how much money is moving there. When you consider a new gaming platform, there's always a certain time that the right genres, the right types of games appear, and when you get the first kind of breakthrough hits, then I don't think we've seen like breakthrough hit game yet on the chat game. That's my take on it.
Anyone else want to?
Just maybe commenting on the opportunity from a little bit of a different angle. So we have seen from the previous 2 presentations that what is actually happening, and we all realize, is that we have two major stores. We have App Store and Google Play, and within those stores, that here are sitting major, huge other potentially stores, right? Like Messenger, like WeChat, that are gateways of discovery of content. And this is something that's happening more and more, and we have not seen that before, that we have these like 2 layers of discovery. So that's a situation now where we have a store, and within that store we have super apps that are now offering games and more content. So looking at this opportunity of the situation, how long this can be, and when is the moment when these super apps will actually become more powerful than the stores themselves. This is the moment when the opportunity gets really big.
Well, the opportunity, as it was said before, is really big, but it need to mention that the Facebook instant games may seem a bit crowded already, but don't get upset, because there are also many other platforms which are opening new HTML5-based gaming solutions, and Facebook is not the only one. Of course, it's the primary one, and is one of the most and one of the platform which offers most rich features and so on, and has a really huge user base. But there are also new solutions, for example, which something like local social networks like Contact, like China's WeChat, like mentioned before, the Japanese Line, and so on. So the opportunities are truly big right now.
Is this an area that you have to get in on right now? Can you wait? Is it going to be the big players that are doing it now? They're going to be the big players at the end when it starts maturing as a platform.
I mean, it's always good to be the first one, definitely. But I think history has shown that it's not. I mean, like, even if you start right now, I mean, look back to Supercell, right? They haven't been there before, but they have a lot of experience, actually. Basically, so we've been one of the launcher partners. So we've been able to launch like 3 games at the beginning, and like the first year, 2017, we were basically like trying around like tons of stuff. We had no idea what could work, what worked at the end of the day. So I think it's always good to. And now, even if you don't have a clear vision, like, hey, that's the game, that's the thing, what will work at the end of the day, I think it's always good to just give it a start, at least, to fail several times, that you understand, okay, that's not working at the end of the day, and then use this kind of know-how to make to build on the next big hit, actually, at the end of the day. And I think, like, basically all of the people who were sitting here on the panel had this kind of same situation, or made the same experience, let's say, over the last couple of months and years. And so yeah, definitely. I mean, like, it's not for sure. It's not. You don't have to be the first one, but it's better to be the first one.
And then kind of the same kind of question, but for hyper-casual, why has that become so popular now?
Well, there can be some, not the only reason, because there are. Well, I think it's quite popular because as it was opened by Ketchup, actually, back around 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. So we can see that this type of games, which are small, which are quite simply both in design and gameplay, they get popular because maybe it's because users on mobile are focusing more on the actual gameplay than on graphic, on multiplayer meta gameplay. They need just simple games, but this market is also got really crowded because it's a big opportunity. But now it has a rebound while on HTML5 platforms. So I think that the key popular here is that people can easily share these games. Also, they can easily start playing. Actually, it's like they say, it's easy to learn and hard to master. So these games has a lot of viral potential. That's why they have a popular. Sorry.
I think that's the hyper-casual is growing because mobile is growing, and the people are moving from websites where they used to play very simple games and from the written in Flash, for example, to mobile, and the cost of acquisition is dropped significantly last year. It's an effect of scale and actually some effects from the different auctioning system. So you can easily attract millions of players into a new title, And this model is scalable, and it's very easy for publishers to make money on hyper-casual games. So that's why they're promoting it. With a super short sessions, like 30 seconds to 2 minutes. It's very easy to new players to start doing this. And they aggressively target it through social media channels like, I don't know, Instagram or Facebook. And thus this market attracts a new audience. Sometimes it's just the first game somebody will ever play will be hyper-casual game.
Yeah. If I can twist your question a little bit, and like, why is hyper-casual so strong in Messenger? The little twist on that, but I think one reason for that is that they are kind of fast to make. It's easy to start with that, and technically, because you have to have a lightweight download, for example, for the instant games, you need to download it in seconds. So to make a hyper-casual game for that, it's kind of something easy to start with, and I do think the messaging market will see like more actually mid-core and longer gameplays once companies have kind of got down to making them, and they've had their time to mature and get out there.
Does that mean, this could be a silly question from me, but does that mean the technology has to improve for instant games if you're going to look at more mid-core, maybe even hardcore games?
Well, yeah, I mean, if you do that, like we've built some of our own tech to be able to do that kind of things, because you need to run your own backend and you need to be downloading things on the fly while the person is playing. So, but there's nothing preventing you to do that. Yeah. And
I don't know if you what do you find is actually better at the moment, the hyper-casual on instant games or slightly more complex games?
I guess everyone has their own opinion here, but yeah, I mean both work. I mean it's a platform that can have a lot of different genres and gameplays on it.
Yeah. So when we're talking about chat app gaming, what are some of the key design considerations that you have to take into account? Because it's quite a unique platform compared to mobile.
Regarding chat games, what are the key for success in game design, you mean? Okay. I prefer actually to divide the instant games term into two categories. First one is like the original Facebook instant games, which are in fact tied to chat. So you need to invite another player via chat and start playing together. But there are also another platforms which are more like traditional game portals or game categories, more like App Store look. For example, I don't know, Contact, there are games where you can choose a game where menu and play a single game, single player mode actually, and which is the main focus of the game. So the instant games are focused on multiplayer, and the second category, dark games, for example, less called, is focused on single player. But in both cases, you have to get a good virality factor and a good retention factor. So since most of platforms are connected to social networks, you need to use the social networks feature set which allows you to share the games with friends, which even give players some gift for inviting friends or for sharing the game content on their newsfeed and so on. So right now there is one of the key factors, because I can say on how actually the paid user acquisition will pay off, because there are not so many cases nowadays in this field. So the only proven factor is the virality, using the virality in your games. So,
anyone else want to jump in on some key design, game design considerations?
Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, definitely you need to have the kind of social hooks in there, social features, and the platforms like instant games, they are offering these tools for you to use. So you just have to take them and kind of use them as well. And we're looking a lot on kind of how to integrate with the chats to kind of have almost like a hybrid gameplay where something is happening with the bots and something's happening with the game, and kind of trying to integrate well with the platform. That's definitely something you can do, and yeah.
I also think it's a big balancing game on the chat platform side and among the game developers themselves, because think about like why you open a messaging app. You probably don't open it for games most of the time. You open it for various different things, to talk to your family, to your colleagues, to solve maybe even business. And maybe you also play games in there. So the context is not only for gaming. We're not talking about messengers for gamers only. So the balancing game is really on the chat platform side to give enough discoverability for games to enhance the social features, because yes, we have all seen the data when people play with friends, everything is better. They play much more games, they have better retention, everything. But at the same time, if you push that too hard, it's going to hurt the chat platform over a long period of time, because people will see all the spammy messages like friend request this egg in order to get to a second level. But like the balancing game is really important, because if the chat platform gets that too strong, game developers will be frustrated, there is no virality. But if they get that too loose, they're going to destroy it over a long period of time. So the balancing is very important and it's very delicate, and I think there's still way to go in most of the platforms we've seen.
But balancing is important for the platform. If you're a developer, you just need to pursue this opportunity to use viral.
That's what I'm saying. The balancing.
You just spam everyone is possible. It's just because next thing that may happen is going to happen that the same thing that happened with the Facebook. They moved the opportunity to spam users to a special game feed where nobody notices what I mean. You're not able to acquire new users. Right now, it's the only chance for developers on instant game platforms just to spam other users, just to grow your audience.
I have to add on that because
if you have a great game, just move to hypercasual.
I think that's very, very tricky and might end up very short term, because if there was a feature that would allow games to go super viral and spam everybody, maybe in short term, it makes the developer happy. But in the long term, and like Facebook can probably tell us themselves, but there will be a product manager looking at what's going on, they would cut that feature, and the whole industry would go down because of that, right? So the balance is really important for long term. If you're investing in a platform with your games and your resources and everything, you want that platform to thrive.
Okay, that's competition, right? I mean.
I must say I did find these very annoying back in the heyday of Facebook notifications. However, the two examples I think of in my head are Candy Crush and Farmville, which did all right.
Believe me, hyper-casual games nowadays are more annoying.
One thing I was thinking from what we were saying there is that, so basically, chat app games, do they need to be made to just be, you constantly have to go back, whether it's you're playing one constant game with your friends, or like it's got to encourage you to come back and play that same game again. It can't be like a finite experience if it's built in the chat app. Or am I completely wrong? Sorry, the way I'm putting it is, the chat app gaming, it's always with leaderboards, so there's always got to be a reason to come back to that game. There's no games like on mobile where you might have a premium experience where you just play it and that's it.
I mean, the players do go to try several games, but I believe in the very beginning of the market there was kind of an idea that people are going to go like in and out of games a lot, but they actually don't do it as much as people thought in the beginning. They tend to stick with the games that they like. Of course, it's still how the games are displayed to you. Like for example, there's the recently played and everything now in instant games. That kind of curates a little bit on like what you if you liked something you probably would play it again, or at least you would play it longer than you would play that one session, you would play that game, you wouldn't go like instant like okay, and that's actually good for the developer if there is a tendency for people to like games. And I wish there was actually more this kind of a rating, like users could flag their favorite games or rate them better and have that kind of a friend-rated game suggestions and these kind of things. I think the platforms are still working with. But yeah, even though even the hyper casual games, some of them we see kind of sticking on the top 10 list for a long time. So certain hyper casual games seem to be more sticky than others. So yeah.
I think it's like when you look back now, like 2 years almost behind us, let's say, and still there are like a lot of evergreens, let's say, on the platform which have been there like since the beginning, and they've been played by millions and millions of people all the time. So I think it's something what also developers from the app space can bring over to the messenger game space, and a lot of messenger game developers had to learn before, is that it's not like all about like just launching a lot of games all the day, but at the same time you always have to care about your games as well, right? So you always have to deliver them fresh new content so that the users do have a reason to come back. So if it's only about, okay, hey, I launched my hyper casual game and then I forgot about it, probably nothing will happen. I'll probably just have like a little jump up and then it goes down again. So I think that, yeah, as long as developers caring about that part, then.
So another question with chat app gaming. What's the best way to make money on those platforms now? Is it ad-based, or now you can do in-app purchases on instant games? Is it in-app purchases? I'm talking about right now.
So basically, our majority of revenue is coming from ads, clearly, because let's say we're coming from the ad space, let's say, before. So like the games we've built over the last couple of years have been clearly optimized for advertisement. But we see now a shift towards in-app purchase, and we are pushing hardly to go into in-app purchase because you definitely make more money with in-app purchase. But it's something what we as a like a HTML5 or like sort of hyper-casual developer has to learn first. But at the end of the day, it's you have a higher value per user, you have a higher lifetime value, so you can invest more into user acquisition and so on and so on. You can now grow the user base then a bit unorganically. So I think it's very important. But.
Actually, if the platform you are launching on is offering options like, for example, rewarded videos, it's the best opportunity to use this kind of ads because it's fits really well for hyper casual games. For example, when a game have a short session, for example, you lose in like 5 or 10 seconds and then play again, then you can give an option to continue a game with watching rewarded video. This model was implemented countless times in native mobile games actually, but I rarely see this in instant HTML5 games. So it's a good point. But if you are looking for a game with big lifetime value, which is not so hyper casual, but we are speaking about hyper casual. But anyway, for games with big lifetime value, the in-app purchases are a good solution too, but there are some problems with in-app purchases on most platforms right now because of the payment options. It's a very difficult topic to discuss in a quick way. So, but you need to try it yourself.
So, kind of going back to hyper-casual games, as you were kind of alluding to there, so we talked about some design considerations for chat app gaming. I'm sure there's some crossover. But what are some key design considerations when you're building a hyper-casual game? In terms of, we know it's got to be simple, but there was talk earlier, is it got to be one touch? Is it got to be that simple? Like,
it should be sticky. That's for sure, and that's why the requirements from hyper-casual publishers are mostly about the first day retention and 7-day retention. The core gameplay should be the driver of repetitive sessions. So it's a balance of the session length. It should be short, and the number of sessions per day, and the people should return to the game without that virality factor, without the social features. Oh, okay, the competitive games now, like a multiplayer games type of .io stuff, it is trendy nowadays, and we'll see more games like that in the nearest future. But so far, people just love playing the same game over and over because they feel the challenge, they feel the right right number of progression. I don't know, just right rate of progression. It's just you feel that you doing right thing. It's just in spite of the fact it's a hyper casual, it's still a game, and it should be great game in the core gameplay. It's just the meta is very simple, and it will get more complicated in the nearest future. Besides skins, we'll see some quests or some other type of little signs for the player how to progress, how to spend more time in the game.
Well, the formula easy to learn, hard to master, which I've mentioned before, works really well for balancing your hyper-casual games. But also a good point is adding some, at least soft currency. I mean, soft currency is the type of in-game currency which is not bought via in-app purchases, but is obtained via game actions, like for example collecting coins in a platformer or some another type of like this, some stars, and adding some things that you can buy for these currencies. It shouldn't be it should be just decorative, not changes the gameplay in actual way. The simple example is skins for the player character or backgrounds. The options of skins should be really various. For example, like around for one of our games we did like 100 of player skins, but it paid really well. So because players like to unlock new and new skins, especially if they can't see which it's gonna be in, and it keeps their attention actually. If they like to collect coins to obtain the new and new and new, and the cycle repeats. So it's a good option to start with.
So we have seen one interesting thing that would be like on top of what you said. I do agree with that completely. One thing that I find interesting is that we played with the frustration level, let's say, something that like how hard you can make the game or how easy. So we played with that on one game. And we were watching how the shareability changes. So shareability, I mean, like how many people challenge each other. So on the competition play, what is the shareability change with the frustration level changes? And interesting enough, you would probably guess, if you increase the frustration level, so it's harder to progress at a certain point, the shareability of the game increased a lot. It did hurt the longer-term retention of the game. So it comes back to setting up what you expect the game to do. So there seems to be a relationship between the higher frustration level and higher shareability, but low long-term retention. So based on what you expect the game to do, this is something that we play with.
There is no need to punish the player with a difficult gameplay, because you're already punishing him with forced ads. See, you monetize him through ads. You have a 2-minute session, and then you show him 30 seconds video, which is forced. You cannot skip it until maybe 10 seconds later. So the thing is, you have to treat your player as a precious asset. You have to love him, because you're already punishing him at the same time. You're making money on him.
We've got a question.
Can I make one comment also on what you're saying?
Do we have another microphone or as well?
Just want to make one comment also on some of the things just being said. I think actually hyper-casual, I mean, it's a very trendy term now, but I don't think it's anything new. It's been around for a long time. I mean, let's all think about Flappy Bird, with very high frustration level. I think Flappy Bird is probably the mother of all hyper-casual games, but no one called it hyper-casual games then. I think just the reason that there are a couple of companies now, like the Voodoos, who are very successful and make hundreds of millions of revenues. Suddenly we have this category, but I think in itself it's nothing new. I think it has been there forever.
I feel like it's become a slightly bigger thing now, even though Flappy Bird was monetized this way, but through advertisement being a lot easier for developers to use now on mobile, that now the term hyper-casual has kind of grown out of that as well. It was interesting to talk about shareability. So with hyper-casual games, how do you build these massive audiences that they inevitably need? Can you do it organically, or is it really paid user acquisition, and then hopefully when you've got a big enough audience you can advertise your own games within that network?
Building the audience in hyper-casual apps?
Yes.
It's mostly acquisition. It's user acquisition. It's just you need to test your creatives. You need to test everything on a page, like an ASO thing, to lower acquisition costs. And but now it's possible to acquire tier 1 users from 10 to 20 cents per head.
So if you're a small developer,
if you're a small developer,
is it possible to kind of get into this space?
It's kind of tricky. When I see the game like Rise Up and I don't know 85 million installs this year, I'm not sure it's just a fate and somebody or maybe God blessing or maybe featuring helped this developer to grow. I still suspect that maybe some casino group stays behind the man and invest heavily with the user acquisition team. Because it's easier for large publishers with experience in acquisition to do so, and it's possible. You can purchase hundreds of millions of users, literally, and using your data you gathered. If you acquired users into I don't know 100 games, you're already profiling them. It's going to be cheaper for you. Next user going to be it's like a cost of re-engagement. It's going to be fraction of the cost for the acquiring new user. So that's why it's going to be a economy of big. I mean, like a game of big publishers of hyper-casual games pretty soon.
Yeah, the UA definitely is on hypercasual. But it's for the messaging part of that. It's just kind of coming only. It's really early days. This company is kind of starting out, testing it, but it's really more organic currently. Yeah, you can obviously in the chat. There's possibilities to build in virality or have this, but it's obviously you need to try out different things, and there's no one formula yet that we would see that exactly if you do. I mean, of course, everyone would do it if there was, and we will see how it will form like the market. But now it's I would say on Messenger it's kind of cheaper to acquire your first initial user base because you don't have to pay for it.
Does anyone else have any questions they'd like to ask you about Messenger apps or hypercasual? Have we ever?
Yeah, I think that's all right. Thanks. Yeah, so like specifically relating to messenger games, like to what extent have you been reliant, or like if at all, on featuring from Facebook? And is that anything that gave you like a big impact, a big uplift? Or did you succeed without it?
Yeah. Well, I guess kind of like I said, there is organic possibilities. So that is, what when you launch a game, you get certain position, and that they would measure like how. I mean, of course, it's in Facebook's interest also to, if your game has good retention, if it's appealing to users, it's in their interest to kind of give you more position on the list. So there is some organic discovery in that sense from the platform. Yeah. Anyone else?
I mean, like I think it's the same like in the App Store. I mean, you should never ever count with a featuring from Apple or Google at the end of the day. I mean, like what you should do definitely at the beginning is just focus on day one retention. If the game has a good day one retention, it will basically grow automatically some kind of, and then if you're lucky, then Facebook probably will find it and will feature you. But you should not start with like, okay, hey, let's build a game which will be, or let's try to get a contact to Facebook that I get featured with my game, because they will not do it as long as your game is not showing the good KPIs at the end of the day. But yes, to answer the question, featuring helps you to boost the user base, definitely, as always.
Are there any other questions? Yep.
Marina from PlaySpace. I have a question. Because we touched, you guys did touch a little bit on the design considerations, and for a developer who would like to step into the market right now and bring the game to instant messenger, is the core mechanics that is sticky enough, or is it the time when you have to think about specific retention features? or just having the, sticky mechanics is all right?
I would definitely do both. Have a sticky mechanic, have something in the meta game.
But would
or something.
that be a game changer or not really?
I would say a game changer would need to consider what the platform offers for the retention as well. If you are using the bot messaging, whether you are very spammy or not, or more curated on how much messages you send, but you should definitely do it anyways.
I do not suggest to spam heavily. I just
Sorry,
just do not avoid the chance to grow your audience.
Definitely not. No, yes, you have to use those. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I have one more, which is what do you think the right balance is for platform holders, the revenue share they take when it comes to messenger games? So recently we had Facebook Instant Games taking their own 30% on Android. Now they've cut that completely, which Facebook could do. But what do you think is the right balance for developers and platform holders?
I think it was a good move for Facebook to cut this in appreciation. Sorry, no, but I can explain why it's better, because I think the ecosystem of messenger games is so early that it doesn't make sense to earn at the very early days some money. I think Facebook will earn at some point when you do paid user acquisition, or they are doing. I think they earn a lot of money with the advertisement already. What is the fair cut? It's very hard to answer always. I think a fair cut is the 30/70s is better than what I know from the good old Java games times, where it was, when you got lucky, 50-50, but normally it was 70 for the operator and 30 for you as a developer. So I think this move is already a better move in that direction. At the end of the day, when you look what kind of cost these kind of platforms have at their end, and what kind of costs at the other side the developers have, and the risks they take, and so on and so on. What is fair? Is it 10/90, 20/80? I don't know, but I think 30/70 or 70/30, wherever you want to see it, is it's fairer than everything else what I've seen in the past. Let's say like this.
So I think the ideal case scenario is that game developers make a lot of money through monetization and they spend it for user acquisition part of it. So then everybody's happy.
Just wanted to add that yes, 30 to 70 sounds 70 to 30 sounds better than 55 to 45 in
Contacted games.
Of contacted direct games. I mean, and the Russian developers are still happy to make money on this huge audience they have in Russia. But speaking of the fair revenue share, it's going to be moving to 80-20. I think the same process is going on the mobile platforms. We will see that the shares will be changing as soon as large companies I don't know, it's off topic, but companies like Epic, when they launching their hit titles on platforms, on alternate platforms without using, I don't know, Google Play Store, they just trying to save some money and to take control over their audience, and that thing will change the balance probably. It will lead to, I don't know, special agreements with the larger publishers, or maybe as with a subscriptions model, it will change the ratio to 80-20.
I think that's time up. So thanks very much for the panelists for answering the questions. If you give a round of applause. Thanks for everything.